Hi all, welcome to part 3, module 2, logic system design. So in part 2 we discussed the general postulates of any mathematical system. Now we see particularly what is Boolean algebra and what are all its postulates, and we will see a comparison with the ordinary algebra and Boolean algebra. So that is how we are proceeding. So Boolean algebra, this same slide we already seen that introduction, this how things are coming. Like we started with proportional logic, and later on this George Boolean inspired by proportional logic, and he come up with the so-called Boolean algebra in 1854, and in 1938 Claude E. Shannon come up with the more practical oriented Boolean algebra, something like that I can say. Boolean algebra, as it is just a mathematical concept, and it's not finding any practical application. But if you are looking at the switching algebra, which is nothing but the Boolean algebra with the with the underlying set is having two elements, that is 0 and 1. So this is something we can call as a two-valued Boolean algebra, and that represents the properties of a bistable electrical switching circuit. So something we already seen, right? So that is what is the mathematics behind any digital circuit. So that is the flow. Now, what are all the postulates of so-called Boolean algebra? And for ordinary algebra, we saw the general postulates. Now about Boolean algebra, the postulates which are formulated by E.V. Huntington is what we are going to see. See, these are all the postulates. So something you can recollect the ordinary algebra postulates, and you can relate and see how these Boolean algebra postulates are similar as well as different. So started with the first postulate. So before that, let's see, here we have a set. So it is an algebraic structure having a set to say B, and we need minimum two operators for this algebra. One is represented by plus and another is represented by dot. See, at this point there is no interpretation for plus. Don't interpret like by decimal addition or gate, nothing. Okay, so simply we are using two symbols for representing two different operations, that's all. So plus represent one of the operation and dot represent another operation. That can be any random operation. So the requirements are like these 6 conditions should be there. So for any Boolean algebra, which is an algebraic structure having a set B and say two operator plus and dot, we are not saying what is this set or what is this operator at this point, but we need this many conditions to hold so that this algebraic structure become a Boolean algebra. And the minimum requirements are like, so you may be wondering why this, so that we will see. Okay, gradually we will develop the concept, and what is the thought process, like why these 6 postulates are mandatory for Boolean algebra. There are many things behind it. Now we are without bothering that much detail, we are directly moving on to the 6 requirement for a ordinary algebra to be a Boolean algebra. So we need a set and two operator plus and dot, and the first requirement is like the underlying structure, that is this algebraic structure, should be closed with respect to plus, right? And also it should be closed with respect to dot. And you already know what is closure property, right? Closure property with respect to an operator. Take two elements A and B from this capital B set. Small a, something like take any two. This is something we saw in detail in our first module. Okay. The previous part of the lecture. So I'm just telling you, like take two elements A comma B that belongs to this capital B, but you can see that after doing this A plus B, that element is also belonging to this capital B, and after performing this A dot B, that result also belongs to capital B. So that is what we mean by closure property. Okay, so this should hold for all possible A and B that is from the set B. Okay, so this is something that is there for the ordinary algebra also. The same thing is applicable here too. So that is the first requirement. Now what about the second requirement? The existence of an identity element. And I think in ordinary algebra also we saw what is an identity. I hope it is very clear to you right now. And with respect to plus as well as with respect to dot. With respect to both the operators, I need an identity. With respect to plus, what is the identity? We are denoting the identity operator by 0. That doesn't mean that this is a binary 0 or this is a decimal 0. Don't give any such interpretation. Plus is any operator, I don't know. With respect to the operator plus, I need an identity, and that identity I am denoting by 0, that's all. So 0 is not something, you please don't give any interpretation for 0. 0 is something generally an identity element that belongs to, so the requirement is like this 0 should be from this capital B, because that is a set we are considering. Any element, okay, so it is represented like a 0, that's all. So that the requirement of identity, you know what is an identity. Any element of the set, any for all x that belongs to this capital B, any element of this set, that is our x, operation, that is this plus operation with this identity should give you that element. So that is a requirement for an identity element, right? Hope you remember. If anybody is having any clarification on what is identity and all, see all these properties we saw in the previous video, I mean the part 2. So please watch it and come to this point. It will be clear to you. Okay, so the basic definition of identity with respect to plus is given there, that is x plus that identity, or 0, I mean that identity plus x, both are giving me this x itself. And similarly for dot operator, I need an identity. Let me denote the identity say by 1, and the requirement is like the same thing. Any element say from capital B, when I am performing this operation, I should get that element itself. So that about it. So that is the second thing. So first thing is the requirement of closure property for both operators. Second thing is the requirement of an identity element. Any identity element, I mean that is something unique for the entire set for both the operators. Now the third requirement is the structure is commutative with respect to plus, also the structure is commutative with respect to dot. So we need the commutative property as the third requirement. Hope you remember what is commutative property, and that is to be satisfied for both the operator. That means x plus y should be y plus x for all x comma y that belongs to capital B. Okay, for all or for any, right? And similarly x dot y should be equal to y dot x, that requirement of commutativity. Now distributivity property also we need, and we need distributive with respect to both operator each other, like this. The operator dot should be distributive over this plus, right? And also this plus should be distributive over dot. Both are needed. But in ordinary algebra, okay, we already seen what is distributive in a general way. Here the requirement is both operators should be distributive each other, something like this. And you know what is dot is distributive over plus means when for all x comma y comma z that belongs to this capital B, if I am performing x dot y plus z, I can distribute it like x dot y plus x dot z, right? Similarly x plus y dot z, that is also I can distribute like x plus y dot x plus z, like that, right? See, but you know, if you are taking the normal multiplication and addition and say set of all real numbers, I already told you check it, like both of these requirements may not be correct. One is true and other is false. You can cross check it. But here it is not like that. We need both of them to be satisfied. So that is a thing. Now there is something new which you can't find in the ordinary algebra, that is the existence of something called a complement. Right, I think in ordinary algebra you might see in something like inverse, but see, inverse and complement, they are two different concepts. Complement is something that we are newly introducing, especially for Boolean algebra. And you can see what is a complement. So any element x that is taken from this capital B, that is set, you can represent the complement element by x dash. So there are different ways of representing complement, maybe negation x. Some people in proportional logic and all, you might see in this notation, or sometimes it may be represented like this, or simply say x complement this way. So there are different ways of representing complement, but anyways, in this logic system design, you might be seeing this notation for complement. And the requirement is like any element with respect to the first operator, that is plus, its complement should give you the identity element. Now see, is it identity element of plus? So that is a difference. It is not the identity element of plus, but this one is actually identity element of dot. So complement is defined in this way: any element plus is our operator, its complement should give you the identity element of the dot operator, right? Similarly, any element dot its complement should give you the identity element of plus operator. So the operator plus is having an identity 0, like that we defined, right? Similarly, for dot the identity is 1. So we need it in this way. But you know what is inverse? Hope you remember now. If this x dash is denoting inverse, then the requirement will be any element operator inverse should give you identity of the same operator. Like here it will be like x plus x dash is equal to 0. But that we don't want. In Boolean algebra, we don't want the existence of inverse. Something we already seen in the normal algebra. But instead we need something called a complement. And what is complement? This is the way we are defining a complement. Any operator plus its complement should give you the identity element of the other operator, that is dot. Similarly, any element dot its complement should give you the identity of plus. So that crossing is happening here. So this is different. Identity is different. Okay, hope it is clear. Now there exist at least 2. Now what about the size of this B? How many elements should be there in B? It can be a finite set or infinite set. So whatever it is, there should be at least 2 elements in this B. And we are not going to restrict it to be say exactly 2 elements 0 and 1. You might be thinking like that. So that is actually switching algebra. We are going to that now. But here right now we are in Boolean algebra. In Boolean algebra, the basic concept proposed by George Boolean in 1854 around, right? And that time he is not giving any restriction for B. Like it should be like a 0 1, nothing like that, but instead he is having this minimum requirement that the B should contain at least 2 elements. So 2 and above is fine, right? And the element, at least 2 elements, say x and y, they should be different also. You are not supposed to repeat elements in the set, right? So hope the things are clear. Now let me have a quick comparison of this concept with the so-called ordinary algebra. Something like what we seen in Boolean algebra and what we already seen in ordinary algebra. So if you remember, in ordinary algebra we discussed 6 properties mainly. That is, we started with the closure property, then we moved on to something called associativity, right? Associativity, then the concept of commutativity. So this is something we discussed in detail in the previous part, and then the existence of an identity element for the entire set and the existence of inverse for each and every element in the set. And there is one more thing, distributivity. That also be given a general interpretation what is distributivity. Now if you are looking at a Boolean algebra, the first thing is there here also as it is, like the existence of closure. And here ordinary algebra, the underlying set can be anything, that is something that is defined in a general way. Here we are taking a special set, say B, and with the 2 operator we are considering plus and dot. So we have a specific structure for it, and it should be closed with respect to plus as well as with respect to dot. So both should satisfy the first requirement. Now another requirement is like what about associativity? You can see that here they are not talking about associativity. So this associativity it is not here in Boolean algebra, right? Now what about commutativity? We saw it, right? Commutativity is there. Commutativity we need for both the operator, that is plus and dot. Now what about the identity element? Identity also we need, right? Identity also we need, and we denoted the identity say with a notation 0 and 1. See, this is not the binary 0 and 1. As per the previous slide definition, this 0 corresponds to the identity operator of plus. It can be anything from the set B. That should be unique, and you know the requirement for an identity. Any element operation identity should give you that element. Accordingly, any element can come from B as the identity. And we are denoting identity for plus as 0 and for dot as 1. It is not your binary 0 1, it is not your decimal 0 1, it is just the representation of the identity element for the operator plus and dot as per our Boolean algebra. That's all. So I am repeatedly saying it, it has to be clear in your brain. Okay. Now what about inverse? Again, Here we are not having the concept of inverse, we didn't see it, right? But instead, or equivalent to this inverse, we are having something called a complement here. So complement is something that we newly introduced in Boolean algebra, and we made the requirement like any element plus its complement should give you the identity element of the dot operator, that is 1. Similarly, any element dot its complement should give you the identity element of the plus operator, that is 0. So that is how we are defining complementation. That is something we introduced newly for the Boolean algebra, which is not something that is common to, I mean, in real number, set of all real number and addition, subtraction. In that case and all, you can't think about something like this, okay. In most of the ordinary algebra, this is something missing. But for Boolean algebra, we need it, okay. Now, the inverse of distributivity, and that also we need, plus should be distributive over dot. And similarly, dot is also distributive over plus. We need both, right? And here you can observe this something, I mean, both of them are not the, what is happening with the ordinary algebra. So if I am taking, okay, this is something I given you as an exercise, you can think about it, which is held in ordinary algebra. I mean, if you are taking set of all real numbers and the normal addition and multiplication of real numbers as the operation, can you verify this, whether the addition operation is distributive over multiplication or the other case, whether both of them hold or not, that you can check yourself. Maybe I'm explaining in the subsequent slides also, but still you can think about it. Okay, that about it. And we have a requirement for this B. B should contain at least 2 element, right? At least 2 element. And in ordinary algebra, we don't have such a restriction. Even a single element also fine, and it can go up to some infinite number of elements. But here also it can go for infinite number of elements, but minimum 2 elements are expected for the Boolean algebra. Now, some of the highlights, how it is different from ordinary algebra, something we discussed right now only, it is noted down here. You can see that here we don't have a associative law, right? That is something we saw in ordinary algebra. However, this law is actually, if you take any Boolean algebra, by default the Boolean algebra is holding associative law, but it is not a minimum requirement for a algebraic structure to be Boolean algebra. For an algebraic structure to be Boolean algebra, the minimum requirements are those 6 postulates we listed in the previous slide, right? That only we need, and where we didn't saw this associative law. That means associativity law, whether it is holding or not, that is not a big issue. Still it is a Boolean algebra, but fortunately we have that associative law that is true for the Boolean algebra, but it is not a mandatory condition. So that about it. And you can see this is something I was repeatedly asking you to try by yourself. You can see that in distributivity of plus over dot is something valid in Boolean algebra, but it is not valid for ordinary algebra. Some example you can take and you can verify. If it is an ordinary algebra with a plus as the decimal addition and dot as the decimal multiplication, can you expand like this? That is my question. For example, is it 5 plus something like 2 into 3, right? Can I write it like, is it equal to 5 plus 2 and 5 plus 3, is it true? In normal set of all real numbers and normal addition and multiplication, decimal addition and multiplication, you can see that here I am getting 5 plus 6 some 11, but here I am getting a big value, right? 5 plus 2 7, 7 into 8 56 like that. So this is not the case in ordinary algebra, but in Boolean algebra, this x, y, these are all not real numbers. It is something different, and we have this requirement, this should be true. And the other side is also true by default. Other side is true for ordinary algebra also, but this side is something very special to Boolean algebra that you can't see in the ordinary algebra, right? Now, here we don't have the concept of inverse, but instead So there is no inverse for both plus and dot. There is no inverse, there is no additive or multiplicative inverse, and accordingly you can't tell define subtraction or division operation. For performing this division we need this inverse. A by b is nothing like a multiplied by 1 by b, something like that, but the inverse is not existing, so you can't talk about a division. Right. Similarly, subtraction, a minus b is nothing but a plus minus of b, something like that. So basically we try to implement this subtraction using addition and also this division using multiplication, and in that case, as these additive as well as multiplicative inverses are absent, you can't do such operations in Boolean algebra. Now postulates 5, which is talking about the complement, that you can cross check. You can see that this is something that is not available in the ordinary algebra, and this is something new to Boolean algebra, the complement operation. And ordinary algebra is typically dealing with the real numbers, right, which constitute an infinite set of elements, where Boolean algebra deals with the yet undefined set of elements. So far it is not defined by Boolean even. He is introducing it as a general concept, that's all. But he didn't give a formal explanation like this set has to be like this, nothing like that, right? But if you are looking at two-valued Boolean algebra, which is proposed by that Claude Shannon, which is a switching algebra, here it is more specific. We have a very clear definition for the B. So we know that this B is nothing but the 0 and 1. Right. So that is restricted only to 2 elements, but in general for Boolean algebra the requirement is it should contain at least 2 elements. But anyways, switching algebra is also a valid Boolean algebra, where the 2 elements, at least 2, that become exactly 2. That is the only difference, right? See, accordingly we have switching algebra. So maybe in the next video we will introduce switching algebra, and we will see whether it is equivalent, it's a valid Boolean algebra or not, whether it is meeting all these 6 postulates proposed by Boolean algebra or not. Hope it is clear. It may be somewhat I don't know, maybe after studying propositional logic and all you can follow it easily, but it depends, like whether you have a very clear idea about this closure, associative, identity, distributive. All those things are very simple, but you have to understand in the right way. Somewhere if I am mentioning like a 0 and 1, don't give that interpretation like it is our binary 0 and 1. So depending on the context I will be talking. So here I taken this 0 and 1 as an identity for the randomly defined operator plus and dot, right? So there it's not having a specific meaning like it is binary 0 1 or decimal 0 1. All are different depending on the context, the meaning will vary. But when it comes to switching algebra, they are more specific. The 0 1 corresponds to the on and off state of particularly 0 corresponds to off state and 1 corresponds to on state of the switch, right? So that's all. So in switching algebra that is the case, but in a different situation its meaning will vary. Yeah. Thanks for watching. So we will continue in the next video.